Welcome back to the Uphold Her podcast. I'm your host, Jess, and today we are diving into such an important conversation that I truly feel feels necessary and a very tender conversation. You know, something we have been talking about, Charisa, is how to have a conversation in good faith, especially around topics that are very controversial. And my heart for this podcast today is simple: to create a space for conversations to be rooted in truth, humility, and love. Not outrage, not debate culture that's so real these days, but real dialogue. And so today I'm joined by my friend Charisa. It's just been so cool watching you foster this conversation and us to have this conversation in private and to today get to do that out loud together. And so I know it's a topic that's been stirring in your heart, that's brought up some strong emotions and maybe some really deep convictions. And so, Charisa, I'm just so thankful you're here today.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for jumping into this with me. Well, tell our guests just a little bit more about yourself.
So my name is Charisa Rodriguez. I am a full-time mom, part-time marketing, creative content strategist for Splash Car Wash,
Yes.
the best car wash in Arkansas.
Plug.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm just a mom, right?
Yeah,
but like
of course.
I'm like nobody special. I'm not an authority on anything. I'm not an expert on anything. But I'm a mom trying to be faithful.
Yeah, you two littles.
Two littles.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How old are they?
3 and 1.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, your hands are full.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get
Yeah,
it.
I usually have like food or
Yeah, you look
snot.
great today.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes. Hair is blow dried today.
Yeah.
It's not always the case.
Yeah, you have fancy shoes on. Like,
Yeah.
You're not chasing kids in those things.
Right.
I have my tennis shoes on, so I can go straight for the car pickup line
That's
after
smart.
this.
That is smart. That's
Yeah.
smart. Yeah.
No, it was, all the time. I'm always wearing sneakers because my 3-year-old at this point, you don't know what you're going to do. You might be at the playground, chasing you down the road because he got out of the house again.
Because he
And
got
so-
out of the house again?
Yeah. The boy knows how to unlock. We have locks at the top of our doors now.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Because
That's
he
what
can,
we do.
like, climb up things. And so, yeah. We've lost him maybe once or twice. You know, no big deal. Don't come after me. But yeah, we have had this conversation in private. And I remember even just stepping into this role as executive director. And I remember you being one of the first people that reached out to me. I remember coming over to your house and basically we like kind of laid our hearts out together. I'm like, I can't believe I've stepped into this role. I feel so intimidated by it. You were, asking me a lot of questions just about like, how are you processing all of this? And just because it is such a hot topic at times, and knowing that my day-to-day was going to be around women and unplanned pregnancies and the topic of abortion, and there's no way to not tell someone what I do. But you had this ongoing stirring of that I think you were really at a point where like, I want to speak about my convictions. I don't want to hide behind them. And I know you've really started feeling this stirring. It's been amazing to watch you and just have the dialogue and the text and like, God's really stirring this up in my heart, and I want to try different things and have more conversations. And I think that's really where I want to start today together is, when did you first realize this wasn't just an opinion you held, but actually it was a stirring that was something so much stronger, that it was a true conviction about this topic?
Right. So I was raised by very Christian, awesome, strong, faith-filled parents.
Yeah.
And I probably could have like quoted the 10 Commandments to you before I could read. You know what I mean?
Stop.
Like I'm telling you, we were like in our Bible, it just like, it was just a very strong Christian home. And so for me, I don't think it ever was like an opinion in my mind. I think it's always been a conviction.
Yeah.
Like, and we've talked before this, even the cameras are rolling, like, this is baked in. This is baked in, baby.
Yeah.
Like in Christianity,
Yeah.
it's inherently pro-life. We defend life. We defend women. We fight evil. Like, that's just what we do. That's what we do. And so I think for me, like, I don't know that's ever been, I've been varying levels of volume on it for sure.
Yeah.
Because it is controversial, but it's always been a conviction.
Yeah. But where did it happen? Like, was there a moment where it shifted? Or is there been something going on in your relationship with the Lord that made this go, this isn't something I don't want to be quiet on anymore? Or maybe that I can be free to just have the conversation. It's not that you want to do it. You're not trying to hold a sign out and be picketing, But you're also...
I do have pictures of me with signs as a little girl. Remember,
I know. I do remember that. You were telling me about that. Like your mom would do that with you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, tell them about that.
Well, like I have a photo and it was like me. We only did this like one time. It's not that we were like...
Yeah. Your mom wasn't doing that every Saturday morning.
No. But I have a sign and it says like, I think I'm holding a sign that says like, Jesus forgives. Adoption is a loving option.
Little.
I was little. I was probably like 4 years old. I was wearing like my Sunday best, right? And so, like, so I'm telling you, like, it's always been.
Like you've always talked about this in your household.
In our household, yes. Yeah. Now, publicly, like I'm saying, like, not so much. And I think there's something about becoming a mother that kind of like stirs up that like mama bear in you. Yeah. And I think that's kind of what was happening. Like when I was pregnant with my son. Mm-hmm. I think it just kind of started, it started stirring. Yeah. And then the world is just a crazy place. Mm-hmm. And so, like, abortion and all these horrible, horrible things.
It's everywhere.
Lots of things are very normalized. Everything's normalized. Yeah. You don't talk about these things, blah, blah. And then, like, I'm pregnant with my second born. And that was another thing that I feel like kind of started stirring, like, okay, so my second born's my daughter. Yeah. And it's this new pressure when I found it was a girl, like, how am I supposed to teach her how to be a woman? Like, what does it mean to be a woman of God? Like, do I know what that means? Right. And so that was another stirring inside of me, like, to how do I want to live? Do I want to live in fear? Do I want to live in bravery? And then... yeah, I don't know. It was gradual. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm going off the cusp, my written questions. But you just made me think, like, so now I think before Christians, with our worldview and our lens through the Bible, we have always maybe been more outspoken about what we believe and what we interpret the word to say, and that abortion is wrong. But I feel like what you were saying, culture now, when you get on social media, it's very normalized, and that it's okay to have one. It's your body, your right, your will. And I feel like as that side has gotten more loud and more maybe crystal clear in their opinion, or like found verbiage around how their stance and communicative, I think it's allowed us to feel intimidated by the conversation. So it's very now that you're finding your voice, because that's what I feel like. You've always known your opinion. Yeah. You've always had your voice in this. What is making that stirring to say, wait, if you have part of the conversation, let me have part of the conversation too? Because I feel like that's when your perspective in this is like both sides need to be there in the conversation. Yeah. Because you've now taken this to social media. Yeah. And I will say, I've been personally proud of you. I was just at home scrolling and I was like, oh my gosh, look at Charisa. And so that's what actually brought it up. You were like, I want to have a conversation in good faith. Can you just explain more about what your heart was that? Yeah. And you explained what good faith is. Can you just share what brought all that together and what you meant by that and what we're hoping to do today? Right. I'm trying to even remember exactly what I said back then. But, okay, I think for me personally, a motivation for me is like, I want to have conversations. I don't want to debate scary people. I don't want people to be mean to me. I'm not trying to be mean to anybody, but I want to have conversations in good faith, meaning I'm not trying to get a gotcha moment. Yeah. I'm not trying to like win political points. I'm not trying to insult you. I'm not trying to dunk on you. I'm like, I don't want you to dunk on me. Yeah. But if you're willing to have like a good faith conversation with someone, please. And I think there's some things like, even I have theology questions. Right. And so I'm like, okay, so I ask like ChatGPT or something. Yeah, of course. Because our best friend these days. Right. And it's like, if I don't want to ask someone maybe with like an opposing view who I think might take this opportunity to belittle my questions or belittle my, you know what I mean? Yeah, absolutely. And so I think like I have found a lot of like love and value when I find some people that I can like have like real conversations with, ask them about my doubts, ask them about my questions. Yeah. Could you clarify that for me? And so that's what I wanted with the topic of life and abortion. Yeah. Like, it's something that I am very crystal clear on. I think we should have a voice in the conversation.
Yeah.
And my motivation for that is like truly a conversation. I'm not trying to like, we're not going to insult each other.
Right.
Like, let's talk.
Yeah, we might have differences of opinion, and your moral compass might be a different worldview than mine, and that's okay. I disagree with you because I read the Bible and I find that to be true. But yeah, I think it's okay. I think our society is lost that we can have a difference of opinion, and we don't have to be disrespectful and unkind to one another, but that if you can give your opinion, please let me have mine too. And I'm not trying to impose my faith on you. I would love for you to come to know Christ. That would be my end goal, because I read scripture that it's worth it.
It's so worth it.
It's so worth it.
It is so worth it.
Die what I would want in life and pick up what is his. Why we're probably even having the boldness to have this conversation, because we've encountered that time and time again with Jesus, to be like, I'm willing to put down, because we've both talked about this.
Yes.
Like, it would be so much easier to not get on a podcast and not have this conversation out loud, to just keep texting about it and praying for one another and be more in our homes and quiet. But I think there comes a time where it's good to be brave and say, hey, we're going to come into this topic and we're going to bring some value, hopefully, and just conversation, because I think other women just like us in our same season are probably chewing on this. And like, actually, I have conviction, and actually I want to say something. And how do I just start the conversation, when it gets brought up?
Well, and I've heard this quote, I think it might be Allie Beth Stuckey who says it, but like, or maybe it's not. I don't know. I might have made that up. Yeah, don't quote me on that. But bravery begets bravery. And when I see you being brave, it makes me, I can be brave. And when I see someone else be brave, I can be brave.
Yeah.
And
that's so good.
And I was listening to a podcast. I'm a big podcast person.
Yeah.
I'm a big podcast
I'm jumping into it more because I was doing, obviously, studying.
Well,
like, we were getting started on this, and I'm like, let me pay attention to what people actually do.
So Katie Faust, she was on a podcast with Jordan Peterson, and she was sharing about, like, us Christians, we have the answers.
Right.
We have the answers on what it means to be human. We have the answers for all these, like, ethical questions, and you don't have to start from scratch. You know what I mean? Like, I was reading a baby board book to my daughter, and it was not about anything serious. It wasn't about pro-life or anything. Or totally. Being brave. It literally wasn't. And one of the images, it was it's like, I love you like no otter. And there's a mama otter and a baby otter and all these, but there's a lioness and then a lion cub. And somehow, like, that image has, like, struck me and stuck with me. And I'm like, okay, cubs don't have an identity crisis. Cubs don't have to wonder, am I supposed to roar? Do I roar?
Yeah.
I don't know. Do we roar? I don't know. A cub can roar because they've seen the lioness, their parents, their peers, and then they just learn how to roar. They practice, they mimic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want my kids to be able to roar. It's like, that's what we do.
Powerful.
I want my kids to be able to we tell the truth.
Yeah.
Like, really, that's, like, part of this.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not even like being brave with some, like, I'm not inventing anything
new. Right.
I'm not coming up with, like, some, I'm not Einstein coming up with a new theory.
Yeah.
Like, this is.
I'm not trying to convince you and convince myself.
I know, I'm just telling the truth.
Yeah.
I want to be able to tell the truth. And that's just what we do.
Right.
Right.
It just reminds me of, people say this, analogy all the time, but if someone was walking off a cliff, like, how we view it is, it's unkind to let you just walk off the thing. It's like, hey, you're getting to the edge. And that's how, like, simple it is to me. It's like, I'm just telling you, you're at the edge, and you can do with that as you will, but you will find out on the other side, you're going to fall.
And it would be unloving not to.
Yeah, right.
And there was something that one of my pastors said. He was talking about, like, sharing the good news, right? And how that can be intimidating. We don't want to seem pushy, like what you're saying. Like, I don't want to impose my opinion on you or whatever, even though it's, like, the best news of all time and it will save your soul, like. Yeah. And he gave us, like, no, it's like, when we share the good news, it is good news. It's loving insistence. Like, if someone's like, no, I got the bill. No, really, I got it. Yeah. No, please take this. Yeah. Please take it. It's like, it's loving insistence. Yeah. And so if we can share the truth with that loving insistence, that's, I think, what is, like, the good faith conversation.
Yeah. And so I know abortion, just the topic in itself can make people cringe for bunch of different reasons, whether that's personal, they've walked through it, they've experienced it, they know someone, you know, whether it's the dad that maybe imposed the thought of doing it, maybe it's a friend that's walked a friend through that, or a church member. And, you know, I think because it's so deep, it immediately has a lot of emotions tied behind the conversation. I think a lot of people have opinions because maybe they know someone too. And then, so I just think when you're thinking through the conversation and then everything in society feels emotionally charged, why do you think that is? Like, you know, I know we've had conversations about this, and you were kind of lending to like everything's charged.
Everything is charged. There's like nothing neutral.
Yeah.
You can't have an opinion about like chicken wings without it like ticking off someone else. Oh yeah,
the comment sections.
Oh, right.
I mean, I go there. Like, I'll watch something and I'll immediately like, I got to go to the comment section. Of course, I got to see what everyone's feuding about. It's almost like Jerry Springer of the new age. It's like, that's what's fueling us. I'm like, do people really have these strong opinions, or are they just throwing fire? You know, like,
I think all of it.
Or whatever it is, like making
a very strong opinion.
Yeah.
And then it's just kind of like
you can tuck and
momentum.
Hide. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a thought that I had actually was, and I hope this makes sense. I hope I'm not the most eloquent, right?
Yeah.
But like the
I just brought up Jerry Springer.
Right. Okay. I'm safe.
You can talk about whatever.
But the enemy, his mission is to steal, kill, and destroy.
Right.
And he has done a really sneaky job.
Yeah.
At convincing women, convincing us that the life inside of you is going to steal your resources, going to steal your purpose, going to steal your hope, and going to destroy your future.
Yeah.
That's the enemy.
Yeah.
And if you are so convinced and everything is so charged that telling you that's convinced, then you'll do the killing part for him.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's, it's
so twisted.
It's so twisted. Yeah. And he's been doing this for the beginning of time.
Yeah.
You know, God's way like is always the best way.
Yeah.
You don't have to hate the life inside of you. You don't have to, it's okay, it's everything, you know? It's like you can have any kind of crisis. You're like, it could be literally
anything.
It could be like, absolutely. I have a crisis because my shirts aren't fitting anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, I'm going to go to ice cream or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's like at the end of the day, my shirts still aren't going to fit.
Yeah.
And now I feel
even
worse
and,
guilt, shame and whatever. Ice cream. I love ice cream.
I know.
I'm a big
Same.
ice cream. But you know, it's like there's this huge lie that this thing is going to
destroy you.
Yeah. And this thing is gonna is gonna save you.
Yeah.
And it's not.
Right. No. So it's
your
so
crisis
good.
will probably still be there.
Yeah, it is. You're just masking it.
Yeah.
Or you're just a quick fix to make it work, and it's like
well, and Satan has told you this will fix it.
Yeah.
It's like, you know.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's as believers, we know the tricks. Yeah. If you've walked in your relationship with the Lord for any amount of time, you start seeing them quicker. You're like, oh, what is the enemy up to? Like, what is he? I'm not going to believe that this time. That's the goodness of God. He gives you wisdom and discernment. And as you know his character and you know his word, you know his voice, you're more rested in that. But to a new believer, I remember being tripped up so much and questioning God's goodness when I was early in my faith because I hadn't tested the Lord. I hadn't seen the Lord, you know. And then I can reflect back and I'm like, oh my gosh, God's hand was over my whole life. He is so good. And so we hold to those convictions because we know the goodness of God. But how do we have conversations? Because I think a lot of people have convictions and it can come across harsh.
Yeah.
When you're having this conversation with people and you're bringing it up more and more, have you found yourself, what have you learned not to go harsh when you're telling the truth?
With opinions, I have a lot of opinions about coffee. Okay, I don't need to be harsh about that, right?
Yeah.
But when there's a conviction that involves love and life, there is a harshness that comes with that. If you threaten my child, there's a harshness that I will unleash. You know what I mean?
Mama bear,
there is a.
But if you mess up on my coffee,
right.
Grace.
But so I'm saying, like, I think sometimes we could shy away. Like, I don't want to be harsh.
Yeah.
And you know, and I want to be gentle. But there is a side of it where it's like Jesus was harsh.
Yeah.
You know, but I think he also wasn't always harsh.
Right.
When the occasion called for it.
Yeah.
Oh, God is harsh.
Yeah. He's just.
He will not be mocked. He will not be mocked. But I'm thinking about Jesus with the woman at the well.
Yeah.
And you can read the room, like, okay, Christian, read the room, and he was one-on-one with her.
Yeah.
And
he wasn't publicly shaming her.
But he also, okay, he's not curious because he's God.
Yeah.
But I think with us, like, to go into your question, like, how do you have these conversations? I think with curiosity and care. And if you can be curious with the person, like Jesus was asking the woman at the well questions like, would you give me a drink?
Yeah.
Who do you think that I am?
Right.
Do you like the story that you're telling? Do you want to live that story you're telling?
Yeah.
And then she asked the question to him, are you the Messiah?
Yeah.
So I think
there's
if
so
we
much
can
dialogue.
Yes. So I think if we can have conversations with curiosity and care for the person, and it's like,
it's so good.
Our enemy's not flesh and blood, right? Our enemy is doing a lot of things, right? And so like you, the person I'm talking to, is you're not the enemy,
right?
So having that, like, okay, where are you coming from? Like, what's informing that? Like, what do you think about this then? If I have this opposing fact or whatever, like, okay, how do you process this then? If you can have that and listen for where they're coming from, find some common ground.
Yeah, so good. Sorry, I was just like, I can't move on. I'm like, that was good. Because I think that's where we miss it. We already, so many people, when they're talking and having conversation, they're already thinking about what they want to say next.
Their next point.
But when you are thinking of the next question you want to ask because you want to know them more, that, it just engages someone on such a deeper level. And I think it's almost like off-putting, like, oh, like you just disarmed me in that because I wasn't expecting that, especially knowing your worldview and like your take on it, and that you have these convictions or standards or whatever you want to call it, that culture calls it now. It's like, no, it's just the word of God, and this is what he says, and it's very clear, and I'm going to stand on it. It tells me to listen and obey, to the word. Right. And so I'm just being a faithful servant to the Lord. I'm listening and obeying. I'm trying to be a good child, And so I didn't come up with the rules.
Right.
I'm just playing the game, of like, this is the life he's asked me to live. And so anyways, I think it's disarming when you go into a conversation with someone and you're like, I'm just very curious how you landed here. Because if they ask, it's like, well, when I read it and I interpret it, I can't get to that same conclusion, just because.
I think,
go ahead. No, it's
I think
okay.
Also, like, if doing that, like that practice, where maybe they didn't, and I could do this too. Like, I can be having a conversation with my husband, and he'll kind of point out an inconsistency in my like logic or whatever, and I don't realize until I say it out loud.
Yeah.
And so some of that is just like the practice of conversation. It's not that like. That can help change minds. It could be a gradual thing.
Totally. Yeah, and it's not our weight to carry to completely change that person's mind.
Right.
I'm just supposed to tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
And if I'm telling the truth, like, Jesus had multiple encounters where he told the truth and they walked away. And he didn't chase them and he didn't bang on their doors and like, you're an idiot, I'm sure he didn't think that. Like, I would in my flesh, I'm like, idiot, like, whatever, like, you should, come on, this is so good, you should listen. But he allows us to not have that responsibility. It's each individual person's responsibility to respond to the Lord. And it
says, like, in, I think it's Romans, where it's like, let love be genuine.
Yeah.
And I think that's where some of these conversations, let love be genuine. Hate what's evil, hold to what's good.
Yeah. That's one of the questions. What has anchored you here to this? Like, where have you, like, what scripture has shaped your heart to be like, I'm so anchored in this that I might say this truth and people might not like me for it and people might disagree, but like I'm sold to this, whatever that is. What is that to you?
I think that verse I just said, well, love me, like, hate what's evil, hold to what's good. There's something about Esther where she is talking to Mordecai, and so, her people are all like, they're about to be killed.
Yeah.
We're about to have
Things
genocide.
Were getting serious.
Yeah. And she's like, I think she's saying, like, do I have to be the one to say something?
Yeah.
And Mordecai's saying, like, don't you think that you'll be saved just because you're in the palace? Like, I think I've kind of thought that's like, oh, you think you're going to be safe just because you kept your mouth shut?
Yeah.
Like, you think that, I don't know. I think there's some of that where it's like, oh, you think because you were fearful and careful, like, that you can skirt being faithful?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Esther's, like, and I'm not saying, like, I'm going to save anybody, but I'm like, Esther was faithful. That's all God told her to do. Yeah. Be faithful. And she did a lot of good.
She did a lot of good. She saved a lot of lives. A lot of lives. How do you make space for women who have experienced pain or maybe regret from the abortion? Because I think having a conversation in good faith, talking about our convictions, having the conversation, I do think about the girl on the other side who might be listening, who's like, I'm riddled in this, in this shame, or maybe I'm guilty of it, or for the first time I'm thinking about my decision I made, and I'm like, oh, maybe it wasn't the best one, or maybe they just became a believer and they're finding out, oh my goodness, what did I do? You know, I didn't know the decisions I was making. I didn't. When you're in bondage, you're blind. You can't see. So what would you say to her in having that same good faith conversation that, you know, there's freedom for you?
I think it's Jesus. It's the good news.
Yeah.
Like Paul, he wrote like half the New Testament, right? And he literally terrorized Christians.
I know.
Terrorized, murdered.
He's my favorite.
He was
like after Christ.
Right.
Like, I love him.
Right.
Terrorizing.
But like he was there for the first martyr. You know? He was there for Stephen. And God came after him.
Yeah.
He didn't first have to seek God.
Right.
He didn't have to get he didn't have to get his act together. And God came after him and completely talk about force for good.
Right.
Paul is, oh my goodness, God can redeem any story. He can forgive any sin.
Yeah.
He terrorized and killed so many people. God can do anything.
And he can use anyone.
God can use anyone.
Yeah.
You don't have to, it's not like an either or where you have to like love the baby and hate the woman.
Yeah.
Or love the woman so you have to hate the baby.
Right, absolutely.
We love them both. And you do such a good job at that. You do a really good job at that.
I know. I think oftentimes when I first came into this line of work, you know, I've worked in the nonprofit world for a long time, and watching families and just not having a good setup, and now to work on the side of finding out the moment they're finding out they're pregnant. It's like, all right, now we're in the game, and maybe we can help this child have the longevity and the consistency and all of that to be able to have 2 feet to stand on and a chance educationally and all the things. And how do we make sure, but then at the same breath, it's like, how do we make sure she has the dignity and the strength? And, you know, our heart is just, you know, to equip women as they embrace motherhood, like as they really take on what motherhood holds, you know? And I don't know about you, but I'm still being equipped.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, this is a journey. And if we can allow the girl to say, like, today's your journey of being pregnant. When you have the baby, that's going to be the new journey. Then you're going to have a 2-year-old. Then you're going to have a 3-year-old who really talks back and tries to escape the house. Guess what? I'm still embracing motherhood. Moms check out all the time, you know, or children are removed all the time. And we have to make sure there's a safe place for every woman and every child to be individuals who can thrive and feel safe and feel heard and seen. And that's the beautiful relationship with Jesus to me, is he creates that atmosphere for us. And if we can do that through our ministry and in conversation, then I think we can allow other people to feel safe enough to enter the truth, take hold of it, and walk out a relationship with the Lord. And it's been so cool to watch you.
I'm not like fully brave yet. I'm like just now opening my mouth. You know what I mean? Like I'm not an expert, or I'm like not an activist yet. You know?
But that's what I love about how you've approached it, is that you haven't approached the conversation to be loud. You've approached it to be faithful. And what would you say to a lady on the other side who's like, I attend church every Sunday. I lead a small group. I pray with my children before bed, you know, or like just that, like when you think of a Christian woman, you know, upstanding Christian woman who's faithful to her word, goes to the Bible study, quotes the scripture, but then we're timid sometimes on having a harder conversation. How would you encourage her? You don't have to be loud. You don't have to scream. You don't have to get in people's faces. We're not asking you to do any of that. We are asking you to be faithful to the word. What would you say to her?
I think just be faithful and tell the truth.
Yeah.
You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be a theologian.
Because that's what's the intimidating part. It's like, I don't know my word well enough. It's like, you never will.
Right. And I think part of it is having the willingness to do it.
So good, yeah.
It's having the willingness to do it.
To enter the chat.
Yeah. And then if maybe pray for the opportunity to.
Yeah.
But even just having the willingness, I think, is where it can kind of stop you. Like, you know, exactly the scenario that you're talking about. Like, once it comes to a certain topic or once it's like, this is too scary, which I get. Oh, no. I'm in there with you, sister.
Yeah.
I'm in there.
I think that something the Lord's really teaching me right now is, like, the buck ends with you. Like, you can't be passive. And I think in motherhood, I'm like, if I don't get on to my children, who else is, I mean, my husband's there.
Right.
But who else is going to do it if we're not aligned together? Coming. And so I'm trying to pick that up in everyday life. If I'm checking out with the cashier, if the buck ends with me, am I going to be passive, or am I going to say, hey, I don't know if you go to church, but you're always invited. It can be like the simplest things, or like just kindness. Hey, how's your day going?
You know what? There's something. My mom is so good at that.
She is. I'm horrible.
I was talking. Okay. So last Easter, our church really challenged us to have these like gospel conversations with people at the park, in your mission field, in your work, in whatever. And I'm like, I was talking to my mom about it. I'm like, my office, my little office that I work in, we are all Christian. We're talking about theology as we're typing away. We're like, I'm like, I just don't have a lot of opportunity to. And we live near a playground. Yeah. And she's like, you got a mission field at the end of your road. And I'm like, she's like, the playground. And she's so good at that. It's like just saying hello to people is something I'm working on, just like saying hello to people. And if I'm at a coffee shop working or something, which is not often, because most of the time I'm at home chasing children, which is being faithful. That also is being faithful. Yeah,
absolutely.
But it's also being faithful to be in my coffee shop with no headphones on. That's another way. Like, just be available. Yeah, when I'm like at the playground, don't have my AirPods in. Be available to say hello to someone. I had a conversation with someone. This is the craziest thing. I was walking down the walking trail. There's this seasoned woman. She's English was not her first language, and somehow, because she talked about how cute the children are, which of course they are.
You're like, this is my baby.
And children are such a blessing. And that's another lie, that children aren't blessings. Oh, yeah. Children are blessings. And so when we started talking, I found out about like what her kid does and what they went to college for, all these things, just being willing to have the conversation. It wasn't about like this topic, but just willing to have a conversation and being available to do it. Instead of just like rushing, just
it's just like kindness. You know this about me, but I'm from Arkansas and I moved to New York for a season. That's where I met my husband. And I remember the first 6 months I cried often because I was so used. Our culture in the South is you hold the door open or you speak to the cashier, and I would just say hi and they would look at me like, I don't know you, And I was like, oh. Okay, yeah, you don't know me. I'm so sorry. Like, I won't speak to you. But then after living there for a little bit, I was like, this is convenient. You do things quicker. You rush past things. You don't hold the door. You let that thing slam in their faces. And I remember coming home, and I did that, and I was around my mom, and she was like, what is wrong with you? Are you upset? And I was like, no. She's like, you just let that door, like, hit someone in the face. And I was like, oh. I didn't realize I had been becoming my culture that I was around. Like, when you're here in the South, you say yes, ma'am, and thank you, and look people in the eye, And it took me a while to kind of undo that because I realized how like selfish it is, and when you are indulging in selfishness, it's harder to let go of it because it's easier to do life not slowing down, not talking to the cashier. I don't care about what's going on with your dog. That's how I got. And I'm like, but that means a lot to them. Will I be willing to enter, like you're saying, the conversation and say, well, tell me more about your dog, you know, and then you can go into that and say, well, let me pray for that. That might be their first exposure to prayer. That might be their first exposure to kindness.
I was just talking with someone and they were like, oh, so-and-so just told me about this thing, but then we got cut off. I was like, well, did you pray with them? No. I was like, oh, you should have prayed with them, you know?
And like that's being faithful.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, hey, I'm just going to enter God into their circumstance, whether they understand the power of it or not. Like whether they understand the truth behind it or not. I can gently and kindly, compassionately meet them in their pit. If someone's pit's their dog, or they're having a hard time chasing their kid at the playground, or they can't bag their groceries at the grocery store, or I'm sitting across having coffee with a friend's like, I don't really believe in your convictions about abortion. It doesn't all have to feel so big and so small. It's just being mindful. I think Jesus walked through life very mindful of all the encounters he was going to have. And like, do I leave my house filled up enough to be willing to have encounters with people? And yeah, it's living a life selfless, like, you know, and that's very hard. I mean, I'm like, I ain't got time to talk to you. I'm chasing my 3-year-old. Hold on a second. And then my son is so kind to everyone. He doesn't mean a stranger. Like literally the other day at the grocery store, I was mortified.
No.
He slaps this older lady on the behind.
No,
yes,
she does. No.
Yeah, he does. And he goes, hey, Gigi. And she thought it was so funny. And she's like, oh, do I look like his Gigi? And I was like, no, you're probably 30 years older than his Gigi. Like she was definitely older. And I was like, I'm so sorry. And then he was like, this is daddy and sissy and mommy. And then she started going in like, oh, my grandchildren, or my great grandchildren, they're tiny now. Like they bring me so much joy. And we just stopped and paused. And I was like, I need to be more like, I mean, I don't need to be slapping older women on the behinds. But I was like, look at him. He just engaged her. And there was so much joy in her face when we walked off. And I was like, that took us no time at all. It didn't stop us from getting our groceries. We didn't get home any quicker to make dinner. Like, why am I in such a hurry? And so, well, we're going to start wrapping up. You know, I've enjoyed this conversation with you. I'm so thankful to have it in a more public platform than just in our text and voice memos to one another, or like, I don't even think I've been able to come back to your house since that one time. You know, I know life is full. We both are chasing young kids. But I've just respected, and I think the biggest thing that I've respected is just watching you walk this out. That there was a stirring, a conviction, and an action. I think so many people talk about how they're feeling without putting it into practice. And you're so willing to stumble along the way. I just think it shows just immense humility. Like, I'm not going to ace it, but I just love people and I love Jesus and I want to speak truth and I want people to understand. And so thank you. Even if you don't feel like you're making a huge impact, you've made an impact on me, like you said, like just being braver. But I know you're going to continue to make impact in your community. You're going to rally women. You're going to be like, come on, let's do this together. And, you know, I think you are an Esther. You are stepping into arenas and conversations where more people would be passive. And you're like, hey, let's stop being passive women. Let's be women who really walk her out and walk with women. And, you know, that's why we started this podcast. We want to be women who uphold her, the woman we serve, but the women who are on the other side of this listening that, hey, we're going to empower and equip and encourage you to walk this out too. So if there's anything that you would want someone to, like, before they've already given their time, they've already sat with us on their drive to work, and or their cup of coffee is now cold because, you know, they've sat here and listened, what would you want her or him, a guy could be listening to this too, what would you want them to walk away with?
We shouldn't be afraid to tell the truth, and that's something that I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get braver. And kind of what you're saying, like, you don't have to ace it. You just have to be faithful.
Yeah.
And I think that's the whole thing with Christianity. The whole thing, like, go and tell every nation. Go, like, open your mouth and make disciples.
You have to go.
Right. So just, I guess the takeaway is, like, we're in it with them.
Yeah,
We're in it with you. You're not alone.
Yeah.
There's other moms trying to figure it out. There's other women trying to figure it out. And you're on like, I was talking to one of my friends today about how like we are part of like the greatest force for good this globe has ever seen in history.
So good,
like Christians have been the one abolishing slavery.
Right.
We were the ones that started the hospitals.
Right.
Christians were the ones that started the university systems. Like we've been the one telling that there's hope and there's Jesus. And of course imperfect can even be a little too mild in some things. Like
totally.
Like we fumbled the ball, but you can be, I think that makes me brave, knowing like you're surrounded by a cloud of witnesses, plus Jessica, plus Sydney, plus Tess, like plus this person listening, like we're in it together. And
so good.
Just say yes to God and be faithful. And that might be not on social media. Maybe it's a different platform.
Yeah, totally.
Maybe it's to your
to
children.
Your
Maybe it's to your neighbor, which can be kind of scary sometimes. Just be faithful.
Walk in truth.
Yeah.
And just be faithful.
Yeah. You're on the right side.
Yeah, you are. That's good. You know, I know these conversations can be hard and not easy, but we truly believe that you can have them in good faith. You can just walk with humility, trust the Lord, know your word so you know the truth, that you're not, just reading things out of context. You can really believe it and stand. It's like I was saying earlier, it's not our rule book. It's the Lord's. He wrote it out how he sees fit, and he is the King of Kings. And the Lord of Lords, he can do as he pleases. And I just pray that we will be faithful women and sons of God who just trust the Lord, that we can walk in truth and be faithful. So thank you so much for joining us for Uphold Her podcast. We can't wait for you to join us back next week.